Hello and welcome back to HardReset.Info. In this video, I will show you how to maximize battery life on Galaxy Z Fold 7. Let's begin! So, we can simply go to the settings, go to the battery and enable power saving. So that's all for this video. Obviously not, I'm just joking. There are many more topics that we can possibly talk about. First of all, the power saving itself is good enough. It will increase your battery life, but it won't really do it surprisingly well, since you have to do more things yourself. For example, you can click power saving mode to actually see what it does. So as you can see, it will limit the CPU speed, it will turn off always on display, decrease brightness just a little bit, set motion smoothness to standard, which basically means that it will play only at 60 Hz, it will enable dark mode, and finally set screen timeout to 30 seconds. And to be honest, these are all good changes. You see, whenever you, for example, switch to a dark mode, you will actually save battery. This is thanks to the ability of OLED screens that makes them waste more battery or use depending on brightness of the pixels. So if you have a full bright screen, you will use more battery. However, if your screen is consistently more darker, then you will waste less battery. So, then we also have the ability to enable battery protection. Now, while basic is pretty good, I would strongly advise you to go with adaptive one, since it will learn your sleep patterns and basically will increase the lifespan of battery a little bit. But even if you don't want adaptive protection, just please have it enabled. If you do not have it enabled, you will butcher your battery down. Trust me. However, are you supposed to use always on display all the time? I know that some people don't have really problem with that, but limited CPU speed, limited screen refresh, that's kind of a bummer, right? Now, technically, we could just do it automatically. I mean, not automatically, manually. We could, use our phone as a normal, and then whenever we are dropped, for example, below 30% of our battery, we just go to the settings and enable power saving. But let's be real, who will actually do that? No one will remember doing that. Sure, you will have notifications that, hey, you have only 20% of battery, please charge me up, but many people just ignore them. So instead, let's automate this process, and we can do that using routines. Let's head into routines and simply head from mode to routines. Now you want to click that plus icon and you can create new routine. Now I'm not going to go into too much detail into routines themselves, because I just finished recording a tutorial for modes and routines exactly for the Galaxy Z Fold 7, so if you want to, you can always check it out. But what we want to basically do is we want to set a condition and what we want to do after this condition is met. So for us, we want to click add new condition, and we want to scroll down a little under device, and as you can see here we have our battery level. So we can now switch it, so battery level is, for example, 20%. I think it's a very typical battery level whenever something goes wrong. And we can set it if we want to set it to below or equal to or above. I will go with below because we want to maximize our battery life. So then we want to go with add what this routine will do, and as you can see, it will even automatically suggest that we want to enable power saving. So we can click that. However, if it doesn't really suggest that to you, you basically want to scroll down, and also you will notice that this is the exact same screen that's showed between different modes and just settings. So you just have settings here and you can choose with routines everything that you can find basically via settings. So I do think that's amazing, to be honest. But what we want to do is we want to head to battery, and as you can see we have 4 things related to battery. First, we want to obviously enable power saving, just like that. So now every single time. Well, we do have to save it, and we can actually name it. So we want to go with charge me please, and we can go with a very sad face. Now we can also change the icon. So I do think that battery icon is pretty good, but even this is probably better. So I will go with this, a nice red background, and let's hit done. So we do have charge me please as a routine, but we can spice it up even further. Well, first we want to go with edit, and we can add more actions. We can scroll down to, for example, our battery. We can enable battery protection, and we can go with, well, technically we could only even disable that, since after we'll go further, that means above 20%, this will automatically turn on. So that's pretty cool, though you don't really have to do that, like this is completely optional. However, you can also enable fast charging, since by default it may be disabled, or maybe you want to have it disabled. But let's say you have, for example, low battery and you need to leave your home right now, then having a nice fast charging enabled is probably very cool. So we can now hit save, or before we do that, we can even add more conditions. For example, we can change the battery level to 30% if we want to. Of course, you can set it to whatever you want. Then we can add condition. So for example, let's say that we want this to happen, but only during the day. We want to ignore this via the night, because in the night we usually connect it anyway. So we can go with add condition, and as you can see, we do have nice things. We do have a nice context. So for example, we have wake up time, before bed or sleeping. Now this will actually use the Samsung's gathering data, but if you really don't care about that, I mean, technically we could go with before bed, but before bed is very specific and it doesn't really say what exactly this means. So instead you can go with add condition, and you can go with specific time. So as you can see, we can go with sunrise or sunset. So for example, we can go with sunset, and we want to go with minutes before sunset, but as you can see, this isn't very good. So instead I will just go with time, and I will go with, for example, let's go with 12 p.m. Let's wait, 12 a.m. Let's go with 1. Oh, sorry for that, I accidentally hit the microphone. Let's go with 1 p.m. Let's go with done. And as you can see, this will only activate during this time. Or alternatively, if you trust Samsung with its convenient set of conditions, you can just go with before bed. So now, whenever our battery level is below 30% and before we are in the bed, this will activate. And of course, you can further customize it as whatever you want. As I said before, this is only battery specific, though we do see a little warning icon that this condition won't really work, since it doesn't really know where I want to go to bed. So this is a pretty nice warning. If you want to, you can, as I said, set it to a certain time, but you can do whatever you want with that condition. But once again, if you want to have a deep dive into conditions and routines, you can watch my tutorial on that specific topic. Anyway, that's all for this video. If you found it useful, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.